Thank you. Mike. Can you hear me? Oh, good morning. Good morning. Can we get it on screen, please? Good morning, everybody. How are you doing today? This is first, before I get started, I just want to say again, my name is Cameron Trimble. This is my first time in continent and first time in the country. And I want to thank everyone for all the hospitality, the love. It feels like I am home. What I'm going to be talking to you today, let me start off with a couple questions. How many of you have posted something on social media in the last 30, 40 days about one of your projects, developments, or your brand? Just by a show of hands. Okay. Now, how many of those posts resulted in qualified investor inquiries, a call booked, or site visual scheduled? Not much. So today what I'm going to be talking about is connecting globally in a digital first age. So my name is Cameron Trimble. I'm the founder of Hued Collective Strategies. Before that, I served as, and most people want to know, who is this person and why am I here to talk to you? I served as the Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden's Director of Digital Engagement. Also, I helped run his $100 million advertising program specifically focused on turning out Black voters. And I spent over 20 years both in government, private industry, nonprofits, sports and entertainment, leading marketing, communications, and digital campaigns. And I'm not telling you that to impress you, just so here's the resume to see. I'll skip right through that. But I'm not telling that to impress you. I'm telling that so you understand the framework of what I'm going to present today. This is about building digital systems for the most scrutinized brand in the world, the US government, and how those systems that I've built can apply to you in real estate. So let's talk about where we are today. There are over 600 million internet users, and that is growing on a daily basis in Africa. And this is a conservative estimate, but $245 billion is what is the estimated real estate value in Africa today, and that is growing. But did you also know that globally, 70% of people who are about to buy a property, whether they're an investor or they're looking for a first or second home, are going to start their research online? But something that should scare you. Only 3%, or a little less than 3% of the money, the remittance, currently goes into real estate. What that remittance is that people, Africans that are in the diaspora around the world, only 3% of their dollars are actually going back home into real estate. Why is that? It's not because the desire isn't there. The African diaspora professionals in the United States, the UK, Canada, they want to invest, they want to build, they want to connect. But there's a reason that capital is sitting on the sidelines. They don't have enough information to trust the process. And that's a marketing problem. That's something that you and we can all fix. So let's start with the most important thing. This is the thing that no amount of followers can replace. This is one phrase I want you to understand. Attention moves faster than trust, but trust is what it closes the deal. I'm going to talk a lot about trust and digital and building trust today. And this is whether you are a real estate investor, a developer, a realtor, you're looking to get into the market. The number one thing you need to be focusing on is trust. So the product that you're selling online and when you're trying to reach people is trust. That is the product. Everything else is just content. So your Instagram grid, your YouTube channel, your paid ads, all that's just content. But content is a vehicle, but trust is your destination. And now in building trust in real estate is especially important. And especially for an investor, a person who's looking to buy that may be thousands of miles away. We're here at the Africa Real Estate Festival. This is not just about getting Ghanaians to buy property here in Ghana. This is here about people, whether they're in the UK, the UAE, United States, Canada, Mexico. All these people are potential buyers, potential investors, but that means they're thousands of miles away and they need that trust. And trust is built on 4 pillars. First is credibility. That's the foundation. Do you have a professional website? Do you have a domain email address? Not Gmail, not Yahoo. I say that because I've been here for a week now. I've looked at a lot. I've gone throughout Accra and some of the other outgoing regions and looked at a lot of the advertising. I was able to walk around all the booths yesterday, and me and my team also did some advanced research, and we looked at a lot of this. And there's still so many people who are on this large billboard is saying, email me at myname@gmail.com. I'm here to tell you that nobody is wiring you $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to buy a property to a Gmail address. So you've got to invest in yourself. Next is consistency. This is the one that separates amateurs from professionals. Consistency means you're showing up before the ask. You're posting, you're sharing, you're educating 365 days a year. The investor who sees you show up consistently online in January, February, and March, that means they're going to buy in April. That doesn't mean they don't want to just discover you 1 week before this project launches. Next is credibility. The next is proof. This is something that, and you see in a lot of these booths, is people doing renderings and so forth. But proof is a currency in this market. You've got to show people what you've built, show you who's invested, show families moving in, show people and businesses starting. They need to see the proof. And I think too much is just shown what could be, but a person who's looking for returns today doesn't want to see something for tomorrow. They want to understand and see that proof. And the last is accessibility. Can somebody find you right now? Can they verify that you even exist? Can they talk to a real human if they go to your phone number and within 24 hours or send you a message? So now that we know what we're building, let's talk about what you're currently doing that is not working. This is something that is really, really important. I've also, throughout my conversations, a lot of people, when I tell them, oh, I've been digital marketing, digital advertising, you've worked, the number one thing, can you make me go viral? How do I get 1 million views? How do I get 2 million followers? Let me tell you something. Going viral does not equal customers. I'm gonna say this again. Going viral is not a business strategy. At best, it's a lottery ticket. I've seen developers celebrate 1 million views in property videos, or 1 million people saw their project. Then I asked them, how many investors called? How many site visits were booked? How many wires came in? And usually the answer is very few or none. So you got 1 million views, great, yay. I got 2 million followers on Instagram. I got 100,000 likes and views on TikTok. But did that convert into an actual sale? Did that convert into an actual investor? Because here's the truth. 1 million views from the wrong people is worth way less than 200 views from the right people. So look at this slide. On the left, you see that's the vanity trap. That's what people are looking at, those numbers, the likes, the clicks, the follows, the shares. Do you realize that more than half of the internet is just bots? So half of those likes and clicks and followers aren't even real people. And they're also from accounts from countries that have no intention, no capacity, and no interest in buying real estate in Ghana or in Africa. So those numbers are just numbers. But the right side is what actual conversion looked like. 200 views is way more powerful if those 200 views are US-based investors who have a $250,000 net worth and they have a connection to Ghana. Content that sends them to a landing page, captures their information, and a follow-up sequence to make sure that someone gets back to them quickly, that's conversion. That's what a conversion into capital looks like. Now, I'm not saying reach doesn't matter. You want views. You don't want to spend all this money in advertising and marketing, all this money putting together your projects and get no reach or large audiences. Reach is still valuable, but reach without a right system is just noise. So if your goal is conversion, and I know everybody is here is looking to convert, no matter what level of the real estate process you're in, you need to understand what platform you're on and why, because each one of them is a different conversation. Remember, you can't sell the future to people who are looking for returns today. Show them what's already been done. And that's where you need to understand your platforms. Sorry. My bad. Okay. So platform strategy. One size does not fit all. I'm going to ask a question. Anybody here who is involved in real estate, looking to get in real estate, how many of you have a TikTok account? By a show of hands. Only one, two people, three people have TikTok? How many people have an Instagram account? How many people have a Facebook page? How many people have their own YouTube page? How many people, obviously, almost everybody uses WhatsApp. Now, does your business have all of those? See, now the hands are down there. If I could give you one tactical insight that would immediately change your approach to how digital marketing is, every platform is a different room with different people having different conversation. They're not all created equal. Just getting all your likes and all your energy on Instagram does not necessarily convert to sales. To only focusing on a LinkedIn or a TikTok also doesn't maybe convert to the storytelling that you need to do. So let me walk you through, I would say, the 5 or 6 platforms. And for the sake of this, when you see Instagram, think Instagram and TikTok. LinkedIn. I put LinkedIn at the top because it is the most important for the type of business that is done in real estate. Real estate are large transactions. People are investing hundreds of thousands if I'm just getting an apartment or, did I do that? Okay, we'll keep going. LinkedIn, why LinkedIn is important. LinkedIn is like your boardroom. Your audience there are your professionals, finance directors, investment managers, C-suite executives, diaspora business owners. They're not on LinkedIn for entertainment. They're on LinkedIn for business, leadership, and education. They're there to network. They're there to find real opportunities. So your content should be thought leadership. It should be market data. It should be project milestones and regulatory clarity. That is where you need to go to really engender the trust and confidence of folks who are actually going to spend money with you. Now, when you go to Instagram and TikTok, that's your showroom. That's your broadcast channel. That's where your audience here is the diaspora. Those are the 20 to 45-year-olds, aspirational. They're emotional. They want to keep scrolling. They want to be entertained. So what you do is you're feeding them a dream. You're feeding them what Ghana is and what Ghana could be. That's what you use your Instagram and your TikTok channels for. You're not selling them a prospectus. You're not trying to go through all the deep insights about your properties or your business. That's where you're selling them emotion. That's where you're doing lifestyle content, behind the scenes content, short reels on your construction process. You want to get them to stop scrolling, because that's what we do. We scroll, we scroll, we scroll. You want them to feel something. You want them to take one action. Click the link in your bio. Now YouTube, and I had a great conversation with a Nigerian developer yesterday whose YouTube channel is really doing numbers in helping her and her team convert. And I think YouTube is highly underinvested, but YouTube is the largest platform. YouTube is the second biggest search engine behind Google. YouTube is owned by Google, and most people are not investing there. And also the content lasts and stays longer. So any story and trust you're trying to build, you should actually be hyper-focusing on YouTube. That's your deepest conversion tool. People who watch a 10-minute video of a walkthrough of a property on YouTube, that's not entertainment, that's research. So that means they're looking through and looking at your building because they have real interest. And so that's where you need to take it seriously. I think a well-produced YouTube channel, not just a video or two, a channel, having a channel strategy, property tours, investor testimonials, market explainers, really understanding what your market is and what this market is, that's where people are building that trust, is on YouTube. Now Facebook, I know a lot of people may or may not be on Facebook, but Facebook groups are actually really, really important for financial conversion. Facebook groups is where you have Ghanaian or people in African diaspora have so many groups. Facebook groups, conservatively, the data says, Facebook group conservatively have over 400 million people in individual groups and pages. So when you're trying to talk to people who may be in another country, but they may still be connected to this country, you need to be connecting to them on Facebook. And that is what the 35 to 65-year-old professional who has money to invest and they have strong community ties. Targeted Facebook ads to specific US zip codes, because you can find that information, or work with companies like ours who know, like, hey, this has a strong Ghanaian American community. If I wanted to get people to come back here and buy and invest here, maybe I should just be targeting certain regions, and a targeted Facebook ad actually works well. And then WhatsApp. I would say WhatsApp needs to be rolled into your business and digital strategy as well. Don't underestimate it. It's where deals close. It's personal, it's direct, and it's trusted. Once a person fills out a form on your website or so forth, make sure you're hitting them with a voice note or at least some content directly to their WhatsApp, so it's going right into their phone and you know they're receiving it. So let me talk next. Let me make sure this goes to the right one. Yes. So let me talk next about something that you can't fight and that is happening. And this is me, like I said, as an American, as a Black American who goes through what we go through there, but what we observe globally around the country. I want to be straight with you about something. There's a narrative about Africa real estate that is actively working against all of us. It lives in group chats, family dinner conversations, and businesses in the comment sections of social media, and it sounds like this. I sent money to build something and never got built. I invested and I can't get my money back. The rules there don't protect you. Now that narrative might not reflect real life, but that is what is actually happening online. So every time you put something out, know that that's fighting and swimming against you. So I want you to look at the left side and but there's ways you can fight that narrative. And there's ways that your digital plan, your digital marketing plan can help build, like I said, build that trust in the diaspora. So if somebody says my money disappears, my money will disappear if I give money to this project, show them the legal protections. Show them the project completion receipts publicly on your website. Brand that publicly, put that right on the front page so people feel that trust immediately. When people say developers, they don't finish what they start or projects never get completed, you counter with video, show completed buildings, keys being handed to actual families, people living in houses you built, businesses moving in. You've got to show the completion and show that entire cycle so people see that. The regulatory system won't protect you. This was something that was talked a lot about on stage yesterday that was really, really impactful. And this is where if there are government officials in the room or you impact government officials, this is where a 90-second video from a government official explaining the regulatory framework and the protections that are there, that's going to do more than 1,000 Facebook ads. And lastly is I can't exit, I'll be stuck, my money will be there and I will never be able to see a return. That's where you need to counter with market data, rental yield statistics, comparable sales prices, evidence of a secondary market. People who put money into a real estate investment, that means they want to see a return and an ROI on that investment, and you have to show them that. So like I said, there are narratives that are fighting against you online, but you have ways that in your marketing plans can counter that. Here's a phrase that I want you to leave with today. Has anybody heard the phrase, put the medicine in the candy? No. Oh, that's a US thing. Oh, okay, one person. Well, that's the US thing. I would say that in the sense that investors need to see returns. But they also want to feel culture. Part of the beauty of coming here and coming to Ghana, investing here is not just because, hey, I'm going to make a lot of money or the real estate may be easy to get into. They want to feel home. They want to feel the culture. They want to feel you, the people, the lifestyle. So people are coming here for both of those reasons, but you also need to sell them both of those at the same time. So if you're a lifestyle buyer, a diaspora visitor, or a potential long-term investor, they want to feel that culture. They want to see themselves in Ghana. They want to feel the excitement, the warmth, the food, the community, the possibility. That's the candy. So your job is to give them both at the same time, in the same content, in the same strategy. Let me make this concrete. So first, you show the fun, show people living their best lives in Accra or Kumasi. Show the beach, show the food, show the community. Know that you're not just selling property, you're selling something that people want to return to. When we always say, like one of the reasons why I came, they say you need to come home. You're selling what home looks like. But next, right in that same content, you're also showing success. Show your happiest investors, people who have actually bought real estate, people who've moved into apartments, people who have invested with you and working with you. You've got to show them right there, right next to that lifestyle. So people are saying, oh, I love, this is something to aspire to, but this is also something I can trust. Lastly, you need to show completion and protection. Completion, like I said, I cannot stress enough. So much, and the reason when I say there's a narrative that things don't get completed, a lot of what our company does is deep data analytics and insights. So we companies and companies, political campaigns, they come to us and they want to know, what does it actually say online? Like we have tools that are going like scrapes the internet and understand what social sentiment is, what people are saying across social platforms, emails, and in the news. And when you start to look and like, oh, can I trust African real estate? When you see African real estate, several mistrusts come up in the top 20 searches. So this is something you need to show that there is going to be completion and there's going to be protection. So this brings me to a question I get consistently asked. Who should I be targeting? Because the answer is not everyone. So I broke this down into 4 groups of people that if you're putting together content, who you should be targeting and what your content should be targeting for. So first is large US companies and capital investors. So anybody related to large projects or big capital investment here? Anybody working on it? Is your company that you work for large projects? So US companies investing $50 million and up, these are institutional players. They're family offices, they're corporate real estate funds, they're development partners. This is institutional, big money capital. And what they need from you, they don't need inspiration, they don't need Instagram posts, they need ROI data, they need market comparables, they need regulatory clarity, they need an exit strategy, they need risk mitigation. They want a white paper and a LinkedIn connection, not an Instagram reel. So treat them like the professionals they are. Now, something that I think is really underserved when you start talking about how do you get people interested, how do you use your marketing to get people interested, whether it's as investors or people coming to do business or live here, is small US businesses. Now, a small US business is a business that makes less than $50 million a year. Now, you can make $100,000 a year and $49 million a year. Those are 2 very different businesses, but that's where the majority, at least in the US, in North America, so that is also Canada and Mexico, the majority of people working are working for a small business. So they're working for somebody, or they're working somewhere at a company that makes less than $50 million a year. And those are where you have your successful entrepreneurs, your successful business owners. That's also where a lot of people from the diaspora and some of your relatives, or that's where folks from all across the diaspora, they go and they're building those small businesses. And they are prime people to be focused on. The hook is you need first mover advantage. You have to get in now before this becomes the next Dubai. That's the message you want to sell to them, because they may have institutional capital, and people have seen Africa and they keep hearing like, oh, Africa, Ghana, places are developing, but you have to hook them with the opportunity for them to come home and use some of their capital there. Credible influencers. Who here, just a little younger crowd, can somebody give me, just shout out real quick, who is your favorite social media influencer? That is someone from the continent. Somebody just yell one out. Who? Oh, you the influencer? No, I'm kidding. Say that, anybody else, another one? Just another influencer. So credible influencers. We're in the age of influencer. We're in the age of digital influencers. Most people go to influencers before they buy something, before they go watch a movie, before they listen to music, before they make any large decision, or just to be entertained. But they are now a huge education vehicle. Partnering with credible influencers in the countries or for the communities that you're looking for is important when you're putting together your digital plans. Ghanaian American doctor with a large community following. So it's not just necessarily somebody I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it, but it's not somebody who has 2, 3, 4 million followers. It also is somebody who's influencing that community. And so if you have a diaspora American doctor, somebody who's Nigerian American or Ghanaian American, and they're really known, well known in their community, partnering with them so they can tell others in that community is going to be important to be able to build that digital trust. And last is the diaspora tourist. This is the most underutilized audience in the room. Every year, hundreds of thousands of diaspora visitors come to Ghana. So many people want to come here and come home to Ghana. And many of them leave thinking, I wish I had bought something. Why? Because no one asked right in the middle at the right moment. Your digital strategy for this audience should blur the line between tourism and investment. You want to say stuff like, hey, come see it, stay a week, then decide. Make investments decision an extension of a travel experience. Now, before you can market to any of these audiences effectively, there's an infrastructure checklist you must have in place. And I promise you, at least one or two things you're missing from your. So I want to show you this content mix real quick because, like I said, I wanted to teach a couple things, and this is something that I talk to a lot of, in our company, we talk to a lot of our clients. Because often when they're posting or they're making content for their business or for themselves, or they're trying to create a brand for their business, they only do one or two things, and they, like I said, I went through earlier where you should post, but what to post and why to post. Do you realize that not all content converts? It doesn't convert to actual people investing, it doesn't convert to actual people moving in. Most real estate developers I've worked with post almost entirely from one bucket, the pitch. Buy this unit, invest here, it's a great opportunity. That's usually the framework of the content. Even when I see the ads, it's buy this unit, buy this piece of land, invest here, here's a great opportunity. And you don't get the same kind of level of response. Because you cannot close on someone you don't trust yet. And trust is not built by pitching. Trust is built by everything that comes before the pitch. So here's the 4 buckets. Like I said, when you think about putting together a digital strategy and not just posting for posting's sake, this is what I would consider a mix. So the majority of the content you post, about 40, almost half of it, should be proof concept. Completed projects, construction progress updates, behind the scenes. Show people that it is happening. Show them that your project is happening. Show them what's actually here happening in Ghana. Then I would say a quarter of it should be trust content. That's where your government official endorsements come in place. That's where investor testimonials come in place. That's where you're highlighting your partners and spotlighting other trusted individuals or other trusted companies. People their content consistently needs to build that trust. But you also got to realize, don't try to put it all in one piece of content. Like, oh, here's it happening. Here's a government official talking about it, and here's me eating Ghanaian food and swimming on the beach, all in a 45-second video. That confuses people. One video, one post, one message should tell one thing. They'll split all of those things up. Then there's the lifestyle content. Again, you want to sell what people are coming home to. So that's the food, that's the events, that's the culture, that's the day in the life. Hey, I'm a realtor here in Accra, and this is what my life looks like. It shows them going to work, maybe show them going out to Republic, maybe showing them going to get some food, being with their family. But that isn't every day. They're not trying to be a lifestyle influencer, they're trying to sell property. So they need to be doing the others. And then the last, and I know this may seem counterintuitive, is the direct offer. When I scaled through something I went back and did after I left today, I looked at about 10 different companies that are out here, and I just went on their social media pages. I took some of the emails and checked their websites. Everybody is, here's what you can get, here's what you can get, here's what you can get. Buy, this is how much it costs, look at it, and buy, this is how much it costs. You're jumping ahead, too far ahead. People haven't even understood what the project and opportunity is. People have not even, like I said, they have not seen the proof, they've not built the trust, they don't understand the lifestyle before you go say, here, buy my unit for $400,000. Move into my new building for $5,000 or $3,000 US a month. Like it just doesn't happen. You just can't come up to somebody and say, hey, give me your money. You have to do all these other pieces. I'm gonna talk about this really quick. Paid advertising, and the idea that that's what our company does, and that's probably where we make most of our money is in understanding paid advertising and how to reach people directly. I'm not sure all the various budgets, but you could have as little as $10 a day to put into ads. You can have as much as $100,000 a month to be putting in ads. But where and how you target specifically in the US matters. Meta and Facebook ads. This is where you're understanding geography. Like I said, there are so many pockets of people from the diaspora in the US. Like I said, I learned this actually in politics when we were trying to elect a president. But then I needed to know in Philadelphia, New York, and Chicago, there's strong Nigerian American communities. Maybe only a few thousand people, but they vote. But I had to identify them mostly through Facebook and Facebook groups. And so understanding where different people in the country live and where your communities are, and then just doing, you don't have to spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. You can reach those communities with a $1,000 ad buy over a month or 2 months. LinkedIn ads, you should be targeting job titles. So if you're ever gonna go and say, we're gonna really not just put up content, we're gonna pay and really try to reach our investors or reach people who want to move into our properties in LinkedIn ads. Really target through job titles. That's how you kind of understand, do they have even enough money to invest, or do they have even enough money to move in here? YouTube ads are the storytelling. That's where you're going to be doing your long form explainers. That's when you're going to be talking through the process of what your property is. And then you're retargeting, seeing what works. You're getting all that data, getting all that information, and retargeting. Most people, when they do this, they just hire an ad company because it gets really technical. But I did want to show it to you because I do think that paid advertising and not just hoping everything goes viral is how this industry is going to take off to the next level. So again, like I said, the number one word I've been using is trust. And you got to realize your digital presence is your perspectives. Your digital presence is what people understand. Because I'm never going to come here before I give money, before I invest, or before I move. I need to see it online first, whether it's on my phone, whether it's in an email, whether it's in a WhatsApp, whether it's on social media, whether it's part of your TV. People are catching you somewhere around the world online. But you must answer a lot of the safety questions before they even ask. So this is something going back to earlier. Is, if I wire you money, will I see it again? This is the question every U.S. investor is silently asking, and you have to answer that before that. So I understand the escrow system is a little different, and I understand the regulatory environment. This is especially in Ghana and a lot of other African countries, it is a cash-first business. You're not built on credit and built on the same U.S. or European mortgage system. It is like, hey, I worked really hard, I saved enough money, now I can buy my house. Or I worked really hard, I bought the land. I'm gonna work really hard and start the first part of the project and the next part of the project. But that's not what you're looking for. If you're here at the real estate festival, you're probably looking for people to invest and come with large amounts of capital. You're looking for people from outside of the country to come in and be able to, ready to buy day one. So they have to understand, if I'm sending you money to a place that I've only been 1 time or 2 times, I feel trust there. They need to be able to track it digitally, so your reporting systems, clear, transparent, online. There's so many different sites and platforms that you can use for that, but they need to be able to see and track their money in real time. Whether it's my $10,000 that I'm putting a deposit down, and you see some of the apartments like, hey, you got to put $3,000 or $4,000 or $10,000 down. That's a lot of money to some people. And then there's people who are institutional investors who, I want to make a big boy play and invest here. They're not just sending $2 million and not being able to see it again. So if you are in this part of the business, in the financing and the development side, you also need to be doing third-party audits, and you definitely need to be showing return history. People need to understand and be transparent about that trust. So I walked through just a quick, like I said, a digital transformation plan. This is me taking here. Who's here? Let's say it's the Regnum Properties. I can just see them. I can see them from here. One of the companies there. Everything that I shared with you today, you could do in 90 days. So if you are a part of a project, if you're your individual realtor, you're building an apartment building, building townhomes, you could transform everything you're trying to do for 90 days in a strong strategy. Again, it starts with securing the professional domains, which I think most of you do, and there's some really beautiful websites and really beautiful renderings and videos. So you usually get that done. But does everybody create a business account on every single social media platform and actively using a strategy there? So that's what you need to do. Are you installing analytics on all of these accounts? Because you need to be able to track what is actually performing. Most people go into digital and they just, again, I'm making content, I'm looking for views, but they're not actually tracking what type of content is working, who is it actually reaching. And then I would say shooting in batch and shooting content days, consistently putting things out. Whether it's videos, whether it's posts, whether it's infographics, you need to consistently be building trust online. So you launch a weekly content calendar. Again, if you're a realtor, especially if you're a realtor and you're in sales, and if you're not posting every day across multiple channels, you're losing to somebody else who is. But if you're a company here looking for investors or looking for people to move in, you again need to understand that. Because just think about your own habits. You pick up a phone, you're scrolling. Most people, maybe you see something you like, I'll watch it again. Maybe you see something you want to buy, I'll click it. But most time you're just scrolling, you're moving. Are you going back and looking at, oh, I saw this one post, let me go watch it again and again and again? People aren't doing that. So you need to consistently show up with new content, new information to build that trust so people see you online. I always recommend people running ad tests, whether you got $500 or $1,000, a small ad test, even that doesn't seem like a lot of money in the ad world, will at least understand, is what I'm doing working and is it converting? And then lastly, you want to spend the last month after you've built up the foundation, you start launching your presence online, you've come up with your really good looks and all of these things, and you've come up with a content plan, you really then start optimizing. You should be doing full virtual tours on YouTube, seeing what's that business, how are you following up with the people who reach out to you, and then consistently present results and proof. Again, you're trying to build trust. So with that, as I close, because I'm going to leave it open for a few different questions and so forth, just when you think about whether you're getting into the real estate business, whether you're actively in this as a realtor, as a developer, as a financier, or as a service provider or something around real estate, whether it's here in Ghana or anywhere else in the continent, just ask yourself these 5 things. Just remember, trust is built before the wire. You need to build this trust online. Know your audience and know your goals. Know when I'm making content and I'm making marketing materials for my business or for me as a brand, know who you're going for and know what you're trying to accomplish. Do not get caught up in virality. This is not just a real estate thing. I'll tell you a little story. There's somebody who's going to probably run for the next U.S. president. And sat down with him. He's already an elected official. And the first thing he showed me, he was like, look at this. How do you like this post? He made a joke online, a political joke online, and he had like 600,000 views on it. And he was really excited about it. And I said, that literally does not matter. There are 379 million people in America. There's at least 160 million people who vote, and 600,000 people saw it. And he thought that viralness was going to turn into voters. The same thing here in real estate. This virality that you get because you had 1 million people look at your views. It raises awareness. It is helpful. But does that turn that million people doesn't mean $1 million. doesn't mean 1,000 people come and invest in your property and move in. So it's not about virality. You really want to focus on trusted views. Show what's done. Again, completion, projects, in the process. Walk people through this. We as folks across, like I said, across the country and across the continent, you're fighting a narrative online that you didn't start. We didn't start. They talk about Black Americans as well. We're not starting these narratives, but that is what's actively online. So in order to counter that, show the completion, show the process, help people who are not here on the ground and can see the beauty and see what is actually happening. You've got to help and walk them through that online. And just lastly, your digital your digital presence is your perspectives. What you do online is how you're going to show up to everywhere else. What you do online is how you not just show up to your friends and family. What you do online is how you show up to your prospective business partners, to your investors, the people who are going to move in your properties, because they are not here. They're not physically here. They are only going to pick up their phone, log on their computer, go watch something on connected TV, and that is how who and how they will know you, the service you offer, and the business that you have. So take your digital presence serious. Take your digital strategy and marketing serious. So with that, I want to say thank you. Again, my name is Cameron Trimble. Any questions? Any questions, stories, or anything? No?
We have questions.
Do you got a question? No? I'm in.
Well, I have one question.
Yes.
So for so many years, I have been very scared of social media. For two reasons. I just don't know what content works, and really and truly, I like to hide a lot, so again, I didn't want to be in there. However, the management thought that you need to be on social media, you need to post self-videos on social media. Then I'll scrutinize the content and head. And for a very long time, I wouldn't do the things they've asked me to do. However, when we started posting, I noticed that people would engage, people are commenting and all of that. For me, it's just someone else's idea of me being seen, but I don't resonate with it very well. What do you say about someone who's building a brand and just wanting to do it their way, maybe the traditional way, getting me on television or whatnot, and making out the who's with good things? That's one. Then number two is I also noticed that there are people that build businesses, websites, social media pages, and then other people take advantage of the businesses and either, I don't know what it's called, but clone it or just put their numbers somewhere. Somehow you're trying to reach, for instance, you're trying to reach, let's look which company, say Arlo, and then you go on their website or you look for their social media, you call a number and it's a fraudster. We get to deal with that a lot with the food companies. For instance, you're looking for a place to order for food, you send them a message and it goes to someone else, they take your money and you never get it. For all those, negative aspect of this social media thing, what do you do as a business? Because these really cover the image of the company.
I'm going to answer the first one and then I'll get into the second one in trust. So about building a brand online, whether you're selling clothes, you're selling real estate, you're selling food, or you just want to be an influencer, you want to be a travel person, at the end of the day, there are introverts who have online personalities, there are extroverts who have online personalities, but if the goal is for more people to see you, more people to see whether it's you or you don't want them to see you want them to see your business, you want them to purchase your products, or you want to even if you just want to build a brand and get clout and, I'm a travel influencer or I talk about music. At the end of the day, people have to see it. So if you don't post it and you don't post it everywhere and have a strategy, the reason why I went back to this is I think in doing talks like this and working with so many different companies and thought leaders and so forth, like we actually have about 7 different media personalities just like you online. In the US, who are either news anchors or TV folks who is like, it feels like a chore to post online or it's so much work to do. Well, I would say a couple things. One, you're not gonna blow up without some hard work. So this is part of, this is just the new environment we're in, and this is part of the job. So there's no shortcut around that, because even if you get one big viral post, you've seen it on Instagram and on TikTok. You see somebody who may have 2 million views because this one video did well. That doesn't translate to followers. That doesn't translate to community. That means you still have to be consistent. Now, what I do suggest is finding what works for you. And this is where content strategy, and this is also where AI can be extremely helpful. I think whether you're using Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, or any of the other AI tools, it's a lot easier now to build out ideas once you understand your niche, your voice, and that's a starting place. I wouldn't say just, hey, have AI, I want to be a travel influencer, give me 60 pieces of content, and then just do everything it says. You should have to work with it. But there are now a lot more tools that'll help you get to content and create content faster, and get it out and also help you perform. So, like I said, if your goal, or if there's any fear or trepidation about starting a brand online and getting out there, unfortunately, if you want to be popular, you want to be successful, or you want to be able to sell something, this is the marketplace. You've got to put it out there. I know it takes a lot. You don't like to be judged, and it's a lot of work, but there is some point you do that. It's just coming out what works for you. But at the end of the day, put it out. Now, to the cloning and to the mistrust, I would say two parts. One, when I talked about the narrative that is online, specifically around, I would say, African real estate and so forth. Again, I'm not saying, I don't think it's true, especially when you're on the ground, you're here, you understand the people, and so forth. But there are some bad actors out there. That's where the trust and understanding, especially for your websites and with projects like this, we're making it very clear that those phone numbers are there. And that's where your additional security that you have to do on your end is are you putting two-factor authentication on all of your socials? I would make sure that that's something you should be protecting yourself and your business. If you're going to start a business brand, or especially you're doing 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure projects in real estate, all of your social accounts, all of your email and phone number accounts need to have additional authentication on your side, so people can't hack you, people can't take over your Facebook, take over your WhatsApp, and start sending people money and wire messages and things of that nature. So there is a level of internal security that you have to take. And I know a lot of businesses, especially smaller ones, it's a shortcut. It's like, oh, do I need to go hire a digital security agent? Like, there are platforms for that. There are companies who come and secure your systems, secure your, like I said, whether it's on your social, but also secure your servers and things of that nature. A lot of people skimp on that because often it isn't cheap. But if you're you're about to be doing a $10 million project, it's worth spending another $20,000 or $30,000 to protect that $10 million. If you're about to start a brand, maybe you don't need to hire somebody, but it's worth putting. It is annoying to have to go into my phone and check it on the email, or go into Authenticator app to make sure I can log in. But do you want it hacked and you take all that goodwill you built up and then get it snatched down? So I always preach web security. Like I said, whether you're on the institutional and business side, or you're on the individual brand side.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
One over here.
Okay.
Sure. Yes. What do you do? For a real estate company? So that's something I noticed, and I'm not going to have a direct yes or no answer. What I will answer, so you can answer this for yourself, is we're now in an age where all this is merging together. Like most of us, 5, 10, 20, whenever we started your Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok, You probably started as your name, and your name represented you, and maybe you talk a little bit about work. You might talk about things you like, and it tries to serve both purposes. But now, especially if you're a sales representative, sales is your life. Sales is what you're putting out there. I think if you're on the sales side, you're doing a mix of both. Everything doesn't need to be well framed and well put together, because then it almost looks kind of fake. But it also still needs to project you as a professional. So if you're a sales and a sales, are you on sales like a real estate? So there's real, like, and I'll go back to this. I had a slide for this. So this is what I would say in terms of the content mix. You doing proof content, like if hey, I want proof that the building that I'm selling is here. It doesn't need to be a well-framed, I paid a videographer. You can do a walkthrough and like, hey guys, walk with me through one of my properties, or walk with me through something that's about to come on the market. You're doing a little lifestyle content to say, like, this is what it's like to be a sales representative here in Accra, and you're doing some selfies and things of that nature. But then you also, if you are doing direct ads, in terms of that ads, that last 10%, or you're doing something in like, hey, it could be something as simple as like, hey, I want to show you, we just launched our new virtual tour video. It could be you on the camera and then you stitching in the actual well-produced video. But I would not spend all of your money on just production and setup, because it's like, oh, I gotta get the makeup right, I gotta go get the videographer, and I get the scene and all of that, and you do all of that and it doesn't convert. Like, this still is a business. You're still looking at your profit and loss. And so I think it's more about the strategy of what you want to post. And so the question you have to ask yourself is my social media, am I using this as a primary sales vehicle? Because there are some people who have a professional social media and it's just their business, and they keep their personal to themselves. But most people now live in that gray area where it's a little my life, it's a little my social. And I know I'm saying this, and I'm the same way. You look at my Instagram right now, Mr. Cameron Calvin. I love some followers, no, but if you looked at my Instagram right now, it is my life, but I just happen to be working all the time, so it shows a little bit of both. I have some well-produced videos, and I've got a lot of just direct-to-camera stuff. But I'm not using Instagram to make sales. If, like some of the things I was saying, you're not using just every social media to make sales. LinkedIn, if you're trying to convert something, that's a little more professional and make it look a little different in the content. Everything also is not a video. So I hope that helps in terms, like I said, in terms of how you're distinguishing what types of content you're doing and what platforms will help you answer how professional it looks. But I would not encourage you to just spend your entire budget and all the extra money you make just on making better videos. Does that make sense?
Okay, the reason I'm asking this question is there are executive brands, and you also have to sell it, so as a sales representative, to see. That's why I'm asking this question.
No, I get it, and I will acknowledge like the cultural differences. It's who you're selling to. So I'm not. Like I said, I live in Washington D.C. I'm not gonna say that I would say if you are selling to U.S. folks or you're selling to people out of country, it is a very different thing than selling to people in your culture and country. So we have a different, like I said, we have a different culture there, and others like that kind of blend the both. I think to make it easiest is treat social media, and I always tell people, social media is no longer private. Even if you have a private Instagram page or a private Facebook, assume everything you're posting could be seen by anyone. So if the goal is sales, and I know people who are sales first people, most people I know who are in real estate and real estate sales have turned their entire social media presence to sales. They still may show a little bit of their life, but it goes just like I said, it's this 25% here that is their lifestyle, but it's lifestyle with the goal, like what I said earlier. The goal is still to get somebody to trust me so that eventually will buy from me. So if you want to be, I think if you want to be successful, you kind of got to give all your social media up to the job, and it is that way. But when you say professional, does everything need to be well produced, videographer, camera, well lit? No, it can still be professional with a direct to camera. Does that make sense? Thank you. Any other questions? If not, well, if not, oh, way in the back.
Okay. How many minutes?
Hello.
Thomas has said, can you please go back to your next slide? The one you were talking about.
Which one? The last one?
Yes, the one you were saying. Yes. So before you ended this session, you were talking about how the real estate companies focus on the 10% about things what everybody needs to get after making a purchase. But then I think issues of the real estate developers in this country, most of them are new. And we don't have any track record of the 40%